Hey everyone, today's video is an Instagram live video with Ben, the Naked Professor, all about mental health, vulnerability, authenticity. It's a really interesting conversation. It's a long video. I hope you can stay here with us and enjoy it. Bye-bye. There you go. Have you finished your meltdown?
I was turning my camera around. I didn't know what was going on. Everything was happening.
You showing everyone your emails again?
By the looks of it, yes. Better than my face, I can assure you. How are you?
I'm great, thank you very much. I'm excited about this. I've had some great feedback and a lot of people excited to join the conversation.
Good. So there's a lot of people joined it, so...
Yeah, and before we get started, I just wanted to ask a really important question, and one that I saw somebody ask, and that is, how does the Naked Professor have tan lines? If he's the Naked Professor. You should be naked all the time.
That's a good question. I've been rumbled, haven't I?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know what? There's a time and a place for nakedness, and it's you know, sometimes you got to do what you got to do. You got to put clothes on.
Yeah.
You can't strip away all our masks all the time, Alex.
Somebody also noticed that I kept my Fitbit watch on as well, so I wasn't completely naked at all.
Oh wow, great! What a good ambassador you are.
Yeah, exactly.
What more can they ask for? Listen, I know you've got to go at 7:30. And I think we've got about 4 hours of conversation in us, so we need to, we're going to have to try and jump straight into this.
Yeah.
And I think actually the first port of call that we need to talk about is we got a picture together and we're both naked, and it's caused a bit of a storm. And there's been all sorts of different views.
Yeah.
Different people having different ideas. You've lost some followers. I want to talk about this.
Yeah.
I want to talk everything about it, because I think there's also been a few comments directed at both of us in terms of body confidence and like, are we really representing vulnerability when we both work out and we both, you know, look a certain way? Is this really very fair on other people? So I'm going to put this on you. I've left it pretty open. Is there anything sort of particular that you want to start around this?
Generally, the feedback has been incredible. Obviously, there's huge amount of engagement on social media. That's, you know, you knew the reason why you first started what you're doing with the naked bum shot. It does get the engagement, and hopefully people read into the reasoning and the message behind it, which from the feedback and the comments it really does sound like it does for the majority of people. But there is a small amount of people that maybe don't read into it, or I mean, over maybe 600 followers I've lost since that post, which makes me wonder what kind of person might want to unfollow from that. And I'm very open-minded about that, but it is interesting. Maybe it's offended people to see that much skin. Maybe people follow me purely for fitness and they don't want to see our naked bums. Maybe people aren't happy about seeing two men naked next to each other. There could be all sorts of reasons, from religion to anything to, dare I say it, homophobia or anything. So it's really hard to generalize what might be the reasons for that. But in my opinion, if they can't read into the caption and understand the reasoning, then they're not a follower that I care about keeping. And hopefully it means that I can grow more followers from genuine, real people who are modern and understanding the reasons as to why we bring up these conversations.
Brilliant, that's really nicely said. And I do sympathise as well, because I do understand that it's a bit of a, you know, it's a statement image, and it does require people to read underneath, and it does it requires people to understand a little bit more about it. If someone's flicking through quickly and they just see this picture of this and it's like, hey, I didn't follow before that, I kind of, you know, each to their own, and I get it. But I guess this is the thing with Instagram, is that a big part of what I'm trying to do with the imagery is, so much of it is the message, and I want to capture people's attention, and I want to represent this vulnerability, and I want to strip away the masks, and it is there for good reason. But fundamentally, this is about the message and the importance of trying to get people, well, men in particular, talking and being a bit more open in sharing their vulnerabilities, and removing the masks, really. Stop trying to present this picture perfect to society of the life that we live and how we are living, and actually strip it back and be, this is me, no masks, this is real, I'm sharing my truth. And I know you did it because you shared a post last week, which is why we're here today, but a vulnerable post that says, hey, you know, a lot of people have a perception of you and how you look, and then they'll think, oh, you know, Alex has got X, Y, Z going on. They'll judge you on your social media, and they'll think it's, you know, a perfect life. And I think the idea really is to strip away the masks and for encourage men to share vulnerabilities, to say, hey, no one's perfect. It doesn't matter what you look like. There are still challenges and difficulties in life. And that's something that I picked up on in your post last week, and really is exactly why we're here today.
Yeah.
Is that makes sense with you?
Yeah, that all of those messages are bang on, and everything that I can relate to and understand and agree with. So when it comes to the post last week, it's exactly that. And I was feeling a bit mentally down because I was physically unwell and wasn't doing the things every day I know that make me happy, which is exercising, eating well, being proactive in my business, in my life, in my social media. And I just experienced feeling down. Like, I'm not a depressed person, I'm not suicidal, but I had days of feeling down and moody and grumpy. And I think that's a point to get across as well, is that so many people think that feeling depressed is only for depressed people, and happy people can't feel that way. But there's no reason why you can't feel down as well. So I went through the very short phase, and I thought it would be a great idea to share those feelings that I was feeling at the time, which was a variety of things, from feeling rubbish that I couldn't exercise when I knew I wanted to, but it gave me a lot more time on social media, which led to lots of scrolling and making comparisons of my life with others, and my body with others, and my business with others, my amount of followers on social media. And usually when I'm in a more positive mindset and attitude, that comparison negatively just doesn't happen, which led me to believe that nothing has changed apart from me. So it must be a perception or a mindset thing, and which state I'm in. So if I'm in a positive state, I view my surroundings differently. So I was purely just stating in my post these various things, and the impact was incredible. Like, in my opinion, like, I didn't feel like I needed to share to give any value to myself. Like, I've got incredible friends and family around me who support me, my fiance, I live at home, like, I'm very supported. I did the post to hopefully connect and give value to the people that follow me. And going back to this topic of vulnerability and authenticity, is that the instant connection to so many people was just massive, because I think I sometimes face a really frustrating thing, which we'll talk more about, is this image of perfection and showing my topless body and my six-pack, and I'm gaining new followers, my business going well, like everything is going great from the outside, you don't see it. So for my followers to see that, oh, actually he's a human and he has these negative feelings and has these struggles here and there, that human nature is what connects us. And I noticed that instantly with the people and their comments that they were saying, and there's a lot of power in that authenticity.
I love that, and this is a massive thing for me, is this power of vulnerability, because I felt it when I read your post. You know, I messaged you straight away as soon as I saw that, because we talked about doing an Instagram Live for a long time, and, you know, there's always lots going on, and as soon as I saw that post, it felt the time was right, because for me, as soon as I read that post about you, you know, it gives me an understanding that you're real, that you're just like everybody else, that you've got challenges, you've got difficulties. Life isn't always perfect, regardless of who you are, whether it's Alex Crockford or you know, Davina McCall, someone we had on our podcast, people who have this perceived, they either look great, they look picture perfect, they've got six-pack, everything's chiseled, the face is very photogenic, and everything looks great, it's all there. It doesn't make any difference. You know, mental health is there. We all have challenges and difficulties, and I really relate to anybody who's willing or brave enough or vulnerable enough to share that, hey, right now, life, I know I put my best bits on Instagram, life isn't so easy, and there are challenges, and these thoughts do come into my head, which is very natural because our mind is very geared towards focusing on our challenges and our difficulties. It's what it does, because obviously if it focuses on the challenges and difficulties, then it will give us a chance to work them out. We'll try and focus on them, and we'll try and find an answer. It's a very natural thing for our mind to do. It wants to keep us safe. So, I just don't believe that people do live in this space where they don't have anything wrong with them, and they just wear this mask, look at me, everything's perfect. For me, that's completely unrelatable. It's not, it's not their truth. Where for me vulnerability comes in is that it's such a beautiful thing to see someone be so raw and real, and this is their truth, this is me, and I'm not looking for your validation necessarily. I'm just sharing, just like everybody else. There are challenging times and there are difficulties in my life, regardless of how I look. And I think that last bit is a really key part to this as well, because it doesn't matter how you look, it really doesn't.
Yeah,
mental health is there for us all.
Yeah, well, going back to the photo of us and maybe previous guests you've had, is that a couple of comments we've had is about why choosing such like a perfect image or nice bums or nice bodies, and maybe the expectation that me and my page and my physique and the way I hold my social media, you can't imagine somebody like me or like us having mental struggles or a mental health issue. So it just does go back to whether it's a belief that somebody with a perfect image can't have a perfect mind either. And I think the more we express and talk about these things openly and share the vulnerability, the more normal these conversations are, and mental health isn't put on this pedestal that is now going through this stage of like being specially spoken about, and more about just being spoken about and being honest and talking about. And it's I think posts like mine last week stand out because there's so many posts on social media that only just touch the surface, or especially ones like mine, maybe fitness models or great physiques with very short captions or arrogance with it. I think it hasn't helped the culture of what's believed for a physical body must live a perfect life with their Lamborghinis and sun shining. Life must be perfect.
It's just not the case, is it? And I think this is a really important message, because I think a big part of this as well is and this is our own, up to our own management, is that if you have a good day or a consecutive amount of really, really good days, really, really great days, it's natural for our body to just raise this expectation. And we have to battle this. This is where gratitude is so important. But it's natural for us to think, oh, this is just become my norm, This is one of the things that I love about dogs, which is crazy, right? But every day a dog lives. You say, do you want to go for a walk? Every day it's so excited, whether it's in its 10th year or its first day. It loves this idea of going for a walk. And we as human beings become quickly very complacent, right? If we do the same things, it's like, well, it's just normal. It's just what I do. I go and do these things. And I don't think it's necessary. Well, it's not a healthy way. This is why gratitude is such an important place to live. But the way that the world is set up is we are sort of geared up to be ambitious, and that to never be necessarily accepting of what we've got right now, because we always want more. And there are all these sort of different attitudes that are considered normal in society. And I think what's really refreshing is for us to be able to say, at the moment I'm comparing myself, or at the moment I'm not being thankful, and to recognise it within ourselves. And because when we recognise it, we allow ourselves to start making some changes, right? And we start being able to say, hey, I'm going to work more on that. I'm going to practice gratitude more often. I am in the morning. It's going to be more thankful for what I've got going on in my life, rather than envious of the things I don't have. Because all these things, all these ways that we think, this is fundamentally going to result in how we feel. Our thoughts are so important to the way we feel. And no one's taught us any of this stuff. No one, when we were at school, no one gave us any lessons on this stuff. So it's pretty fundamental that we have to learn it ourselves. And that's where I think there's such power in what you did in sharing, from that place to say, hey, time to check in. It's been a tough couple of weeks.
Yeah.
I want to work on this.
Yeah, well, it was those times where I was feeling unwell last week with the whole ambition and gratitude, is that I realised this one thing which I hadn't really noticed before, and that is the way I feel about ambition is different depending on what I'm doing about it. This is quite a new thing going on in my mind right now. Because I'm always go, working on the next, I'm always thinking about ambition. But it was this particular time where I was not moving forward at all. I was sitting on the sofa eating crap, watching Netflix. So I wasn't working on my body, I wasn't working on my business, and I wasn't working on my social media or anything. I felt even worse because I wasn't able to do anything proactive in that direction, so I felt worse. It feels a lot better when you're doing things. So when I'm eating healthier and I'm going to the gym, I feel a bit more happier about my goals because I'm going in the right direction. So it's a great tip for people who feel stagnant in their mind and in their body or working towards their goals, is actually as soon as you get the ball rolling, you feel a lot better about it. But when it comes to the ambition, you're completely right. In that week, I felt completely unable to feel grounded or grateful for where I was until I mentally did it. It just, like, for people looking from the outside at my life might completely think like everything's going great, and I get it all the time. And I meet someone for the first time in a few months, they say, wow, everything's going fantastic for you, it's great. And it is, like, the opportunities I'm getting are amazing, but at the same time I'm always at a level where I'm like, the next level, where's the next level? And I'm go. And I've done that enough times to realize that that might never end, so therefore I have to be happy with the journey and grateful for where I am right now, and find the space in my life to stop and pause in the right moments.
And is that your technique then? Do you just, is it awareness, and that you, because when we, I've always had great chats with you, you are, although you do look a certain way, which is great, you are pretty conscious of mental health, to give it a bracket, but working on your mind. It's not, this isn't a foreign thing, something you just suddenly a couple of weeks ago started to feel. You're always conscious that you want your mind working on side. And these little things, little check-ins, is this regular part of your setup?
I wouldn't say I'm anywhere near perfect in structuring how this is done. I think it's just analysing and being aware, conscious of your mind, conscious of your daily habits. Are the things I'm doing serving me? So yeah, I think I'm pretty good in stopping in my tracks if things aren't right, rather than repeating it day after day after day. And that might be doing some more simple meditation, whether that's sitting still, walking, or yoga or whatever, just being more mindful and grounded. And that might not be something I can keep up every day because of life. But if I realise that these thoughts start to come into my mind and I'm just feeling a bit more down and less motivated, then I pick myself back up with certain techniques that work well for me. And I think that's best for everyone, because it's not the right same pill for everyone. Everybody needs to find what works best for them.
Totally. So for you, it is a case of just in the first place, it's just being aware of how you feel. It's like, hey, right now, if I am feeling a bit down, why am I feeling a bit down? Is it related to what I'm thinking at the moment? Is it related to my behaviour? What's the reason for it? Checking in and being conscious of the life that you're living and who you are, and a bit of inward reflection. I know, and all this stuff sounds a bit heavy, and it's like, well, I don't really want to go there. For me, it's just so important. We can, in this day and age, it's so easy for us to live in this autopilot mode, where we just get swept along doing what we're meant to do, and everyone's just taking us on this ride, and we're doing it, and we're never actually checking in with how we feel, or actually, is this path that I'm on at the moment? Is this inspiring me? Is this the path that I want to be on? And actually reflecting on that and deciding, yes, I want to stay here and keep doing what I'm doing, or actually, there's a bit of room for change here. I'm doing these things, and I'm not sure they're necessarily serving me in the right way.
Yeah.
I think it's a really undervalued. I didn't do it. I sit here talking about this stuff. For the first 30 years of my life, I didn't really do it. I lived in that autopilot, just on we go. Let's let everything unfold as we go.
You're making up for it now.
And it takes. I'm trying. This is it. You've got to keep trying. But I think Meditation, for example, is a very kind of I don't know. It's a cliched word for me. It's still people. I get the feeling that people still just sort of roll their eyes. Have tried meditation. It doesn't work. But however the word sounds, or whatever we perceive of it, I feel that you've done it in a certain form. In that meditation is a check-in with yourself. When you shut your eyes and you shut your senses, you haven't got anything to see or hear. You've got no choice but to go inward. Well, how am I feeling? What's going on in here?
Oh,
it's
completely.
It's really rare that we do that.
Yeah, well, I find it myself. I feel like I'm rubbish in meditating and going to a place or thinking about thoughts. But for me, it's simply stopping all information going into my brain, because I'm looking at my phone all day. I'm thinking about work all day. I'm looking at the laptop. I'm responding to things all day. So as soon as I actually switch all of that off, close my eyes or whatever, then I see that as my meditation simply from that moment onwards. However good it might be, it's just a stopping of overload of information continuously. It's just
and would you
simple.
say you get that from exercise and running as well?
Oh yeah, totally. I completely feel that if I hit the gym or go for a run, then that is a part of my meditation, because it's alone time. It's stopping from all the information coming in.
I get it a lot when I'm in the gym. I put my headphones in, and then 45 minutes into it, I don't know what I've listened to, what songs have been on, or sometimes I put podcasts on, you haven't heard a word of it, just because you've just gone into your sort of neutral zone where you're not thinking, you're just living very presently, you're trying to do what you need to do in that moment, which is lift a weight or run or do the exercise it is. So very present, excellent. When you become present, I think it's cleansing for the mind, right?
Yeah. And you can actually listen to your thoughts. I find that if I'm rushing about all day, my thoughts are very quick. There's a lot of them and they're just bouncing around, but not in a good way. None of them are deep. And as soon as you switch off everything else, you give the body and the mind a chance to actually maybe think new thoughts, or like you said, feel how you actually feel inside, and manage to actually taste them and do something about them if you want. So when it comes to an actual creativity or proactivity standpoint, you need those moments of switching everything else off to think new thoughts, because I think that was like 80,000 thoughts per day, and how many, 90% of them are the same as yesterday or something. So how can you get out of that switch, that routine, and think new thoughts, positive ones?
And exercise can be that state changer, right? I think music can do that job as well.
Yeah.
Sometimes it can just alter the way you're thinking. It's great to spend time working out what we can do as people, as individuals, that can change our state. I think being creative is a massive one. Even writing. I don't know if you felt an element of catharsis when you just wrote and expressed and shared. That is creative. How do you get the words down? How do you share them? This is a form of self-expression.
Yeah.
All these things. There's loads of different ways we can do it. Playing music, or practicing a sport, or exercising, whatever.
Yeah.
All these state changes that I think are just, clearly exercise is your one. It's very similar for me, actually. But we're all different. And for other people who exercise isn't so natural, there are other ways,
Yeah.
I think it's really important that we find those things that can bring us a bit of space and clarity into our mind, where we're not churning out thoughts, but finding our own space.
Yeah, totally.
Do you want to elaborate on that?
No, go ahead.
See what else there is, anything else? Okay. So let's talk about comparison, because the well-known phrase is comparison is the thief of joy.
Yeah.
And that's something that you found, even Alex Crockford, who is, very, you've got a great social presence, you're doing brilliant things on social media, and you find yourself sitting there on social media and looking at other people who, in some way, you're finding yourself compared to them, and, seeing them do things that perhaps you're not doing, or you could do that and that and that. And I think it's understandable that this happens, but I don't think necessarily people think it would happen to people like you, because they think, well, he's got such a great presence. Yeah. Again, it's a natural thing for all of us.
It is a natural thing, and I think it will happen at any level when you're the top of anything. And you're right. I think people look up to somebody who's doing well, doing that. They don't do that. They don't feel that way. they don't feel jealous, they don't compare. But like I was saying a little bit earlier on about when I was feeling unwell last week and I had the time to scroll through social media and I was feeling down as it was, the comparison, I think wherever I was at the point of time, however many followers I had or whatever was doing well, I felt the need to compare myself always, even though I know that their life isn't perfect and everybody's life and journey is so different. I still felt like I almost couldn't trust myself to I sometimes go through phases of thinking I'm just going to focus on myself. I'm not going to look on so-and-so's page or so-and-so's page because I can't trust myself right now to feel really good about it. It's odd, but it's also kind of like a self-management tool. Whether it's good or not, I don't know. But compared to sometimes if everything's going great in my world, then I feel more happy about seeing. So it goes back to, again, it's where you are, what your mental health is like and what state you're in, and you'll be able to manage it differently. But it's about managing, not comparing yourself to others when you're feeling down. And I think it always comes down to, for me, is focusing on me, completely only me. And I always love to try and support like my friends and stuff on social media. But at the same time, in my mind, I'm like, I need to just focus on me, on my page, my work, everything that I do, because I know that my journey is so different to everybody else's, and that's all that matters. So yeah, I think comparison will always be there.
It is natural, of course, isn't it? I think it's a protective state that our mind employs, compares itself to others. It wants to make sure that we are doing what we should be and staying safe. But what you said at the end there, I think it's so important that we all have our own path and our own journey. And comparison, where does it end? It's a game that we never win. There's how many people? 7-8 billion people in the world. We're never going to become the best. And believe me, if you place your happiness in the life of how you look, or your physique, then there's always someone who's looking that little bit better than you. And if you get to a certain point, if that's what makes you happy, then there's going to be another place beyond that and another place beyond that. And where does the journey end? The same thing with money. Money is a number. Numbers are infinite. If you're constantly chasing money, it can be a dangerous game. I think the truth is that you have to find your space. What are your athletic goals? What are your financial goals? What is it that you need to make you be the person that you want to be, to make you feel proud of the person that you are? Goes like that. And play a game against yourself. Win your own race. Don't worry about what everyone else is doing, because there's always going to be people on a different journey to you with different experiences who are running a different race.
Yeah.
You're not trying to beat them. What makes you proud? What's the path that you're on? And live that life. That's
so important for people to remember. So important to have on the top of people's minds when they're having those feelings. And like you said about the physique and the body, is that I think a lot of people look at me and expect me to not feel like I have these feelings, or feel like, why are you comparing yourself to others? You have a perfect body already. And I see this numerous times, even when trying to better myself. Like recently in a vlog on YouTube and on Instagram as well, I was talking about how I feel so out of shape, and I feel like I've really lost muscle and I've put on a bit of body fat. And because people see me on this level of he's got a great body, I instantly lose this connection and relatability to people, because I feel like I want to get better. Like the amount of comments that said, oh, I wish I looked out of shape like you. And it's true, because maybe we will have different places along, but for me, this is my journey. I may have a different scale of what I want to achieve, and for me, I feel out of shape. And I'm not wrong to feel like I want to transform my body or feel better about it. But it's just a frustration that I have about being at maybe that level that people perceive you at. and how dare I want to improve myself further.
Completely. And I think the point is, find what's right for you. Where's the important balance? Where's the balance for you in your ambition for what you want to achieve physically? You know, and work your goals towards what you're trying to achieve, not in comparison to anyone else. You know, fitness is a huge part of your life. It's a massive part of your life. You've got very ambitious goals for what you want to achieve that tie in hugely with a lot of your goals for life. You know, for other people, the expectation is much less. You know, it's a much smaller part of their life, and they just need to learn to adapt that this is what they're trying to achieve, and this is the path they're on, and that's what's right for them. And we all have different levels.
Yeah.
I think it's really important, again, going back to that self-connection, you know, spending time actually, what are you feeling inside, in going to that place and learning, this is what my path is, this is what I expect of myself, and then trying to align your behaviour to meet your expectations.
Yeah.
You know, and make sure your expectations are coming from the right place. I think it's so important, you know, and I get it. Your expectations are very high. You know, mine are pretty high. I try and go to the gym most days. You know, I see no reason why I shouldn't exercise every day if I have time.
Yeah.
But I don't. You know, fitness isn't such a career for me. It's part of my lifestyle, and I'll try and fit it in. If it doesn't happen, it's no big deal. Yes, someone else is training and they're making more gains than me. That's their thing. But I'm just trying to stick to what I do, which is exercise when I can.
Yeah.
And that happens most times a week, and I'm happy with that. You know?
Yeah. And you know that is where you sit, rather than kind of like putting yourself in this massive under pressured state of thinking you must train every day and you must look like this. You know what you really want and what your lifestyle would allow you to achieve.
Totally, completely. That's exactly. And I think we've all got to live in that space.
Yeah.
You know, we've all got to work on that. And I get it. We all want to be driven, and ambition says keep working harder. And if you achieve the 6-pack, then you've got to go for the 8-pack. And if you get the 8-pack, then the 10-pack. And if you get the 10, then you should be on stage winning. And and where's it end?
Yeah.
I get it. Our mind is naturally formed that way.
Yeah.
But I would counter that and say, look at why you're doing it. Is it your soul that, you know, is it the inner feeling that is craving this stuff, or is it your ego that just wants to be better than people?
Yeah.
You know, and wants to be seen in a certain light. Because I know from my perspective, my fitness journey started from seeking validation. You know, that was why I was naturally very skinny, and I didn't like it, and I felt demasculinated. And the whole thing for me was around trying to impress people. So all my exercise was doing that. The downside in it and result of it at that point was that as soon as I found I got in quite good shape, but as soon as I found myself around people in better shape, who were a bit bigger or who were whatever, I would just completely shrink and lose myself. You know? And so my happiness was in the hands of other people, which is a horrible way to live, you know? Yeah. Now, big respect. If you see someone who's in great shape, big respect to them. It's not my journey, you know. What I can do is do what I'm trying to do, and that's cool. I'm not comparing myself against anyone else. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Absolutely. I think I think with not just with the body, but with all topics, with career and family and relationships and business and social media, is that level, like, there's pros and cons, and there's reasons for feeling like this in some terms. So, for example, when it comes to business or social media, is that you're happy about where you are and you understand how much you want to achieve, but if you're comparing yourself to people underneath you or with less achievements or a worse physique, then it might make you feel better. But it ties in with this whole, like, being ambitious is like, with everything that I'm doing now, when my mind goes off into like the top levels, like, wow, that company's doing that, or that person's got 1 million followers or something like that, is that I'm making that comparison because I've jumped into a new level of my mind, which is good as well, because it drives me and keeps me motivated. If I was making comparisons with other people or other things or businesses, then maybe I'd be comfortable and wouldn't have the drive. So I think it's just being aware of what your mind is doing and what's right, and if it's not fueling you positively, then it's not the right thought, or you need to navigate it manually so it does. If it's driving you negatively, then it's not the right thought. So I am sometimes motivated by somebody that has 5 million followers or with an incredible business, because that's where I want to be. But sometimes it's negative as well. Just, it's that kind of thing.
It's all a game. It's all a game.
It's all a game of life.
Say that again, sorry?
Nothing, go ahead.
The game of life. So I want to go back a little bit. We touched on this briefly, but we quickly went on. But this whole concept of vulnerability and the benefits that it brings, you know, because there's a lot of men out there who are sitting there going, I don't want to be the downer. I don't want to talk about the bad stuff in my life. I want to be the positive energy. I want to be the source of you know, fun and all that stuff. I don't want to walk in and tell people my troubles. And you know, I hear that because I lived that way for a long time too, and it makes sense, right? But in recent years, I've really come to understand vulnerability in a very different way, and I want to talk about a little bit about the connection that it can bring when you're real. You know, when you share your truth, that perhaps when you share it, you know, you feel a bit in danger. You know, like, oh my God, I'm not sure how people are going to react to this. I'm not like, I feel a bit weaker. Weak is a massive word in masculinity now. You know, you feel weak in sharing these things, and there's all these things, these troubles that you're concerned about in being vulnerable, and I get all that. Oh, that was me, sorry, I'm pressing my button. I want to talk a little bit about the connection that vulnerability can bring. You know, and did you notice that when you shared, did you notice how relatable you became in your posts and the connection that brought you, and did you feel an element of release in that you were open and shared the emotions that you're feeling? Can you elaborate a little bit more on that aspect of side?
Yeah, absolutely. I think first of all that maybe the bunch of 500-600 followers that I lost, maybe there's that masculinity that we talk about, that we have this image of having that front up, and that we are strong men and we don't show our vulnerability. I feel it's hard to know who unfollowed me, but I feel like maybe there are men out there who still have this front up about them, and it's not right that men should be open and vulnerable like this. But yeah, I think for the people out there who are willing to accept it and read it and feel it, there was a massive connection, totally. Like you know it as a creator on social media, when you write a post that has no connection, you get 1 or 2 comments, and when you really touch people and you get with them on a human level, everybody wants to jump in and talk about their situation or how they've connected with them. So yeah, like I felt, but I didn't feel like I was being negative or the downer, like you were saying, that difference between being negative versus being vulnerable. I think being vulnerable is like stripping away the layers, stripping away the bullshit that we put up front when we have the small talk with the people on the street or whatever. It's just letting go of all of that and talking about the real, authentic, true stuff, which isn't always negative, just real. And it's the real stuff that people relate to most. And it was just exactly that. The funny thing is that I didn't write the post when I was feeling down, so it's hard to know what maybe the text or the writing would have been like if I'd wrote it then. It was only when I was able to kind of come out of it and assess the past week that I wrote the way I did. So that's an interesting point with the way I wrote it. But yeah, it doesn't mean negative, it just means real, open and honest.
And I think this is a big way of how vulnerability can be done so positively, is that you're not looking for sympathy, you're not sharing it out of a victim play, saying, oh, poor me guys, everyone check me out, I need your energy and time, like everyone help me, poor me, and just take everyone's energy. It's almost far from it. It's almost the opposite, and saying, yeah, it's a struggle, but that's okay, because I'm human and I face challenges like everyone, and that's okay. this is how I've processed it, this is what I'm doing, and I'm moving forward. It's still perhaps a little bit raw, but I feel in a little bit of a better space, and I am moving forward as a result.
Yeah.
And we can, just because we've got a challenge doesn't mean that we have to look for sympathy and suck it out of everybody. It actually can be really powerful to just acknowledge it, state it, and be clear on the direction that we're going. And this is vulnerability for me.
Yeah.
You know?
And what I noticed is that a lot of people feel completely alone. Like, a part of feeling depressed and down is feeling alone and maybe not feeling like they're connected to anyone or have anybody to talk to. And the crazy ironic thing is that it's those very thoughts that millions of people are having as well that would connect all of us together. And it's me talking and you talking and everybody else talking about those feelings that actually brings the strength in the emotions and feeling like that. And that's what I noticed most, is that the feelings of us feeling alone is actually what makes us all more alike than we realise.
So true, isn't it?
Yeah.
So true. And I hope that this is the role that more and more people talking about this is the role it can play. Like, we can all see that everyone's got the stuff and it can empower all of us to remove the masks and be like, hey, yeah, I'm not perfect either. You know?
Yeah.
And everyone can live a bit more of an authentic and real life whereby there is a bit of a deeper connection, because you see people's truth rather than this mask that they're putting on to make themselves look cool because they don't want to show the challenges. It's the
society that we've created on Instagram and social media, is that we do share our best bits and our filtered photos and the perfect parts. So it is a tough thing that we've created, and they're still great photos as well. We live in an aesthetic life. Like, I'm there, I post those photos, but I think it all comes down to the message that we're creating in between the lines.
Totally. And there's nothing wrong with sharing your best bits. It's lovely to be able to share. You know, it's natural, right? You know, it's great to do that. But I think it's also great to have that balance of realness and say, you know, like you did, it's not always easy. It's not always shiny. You know, just like everybody, there are challenges out there at times. And these are the things, this is how I work towards feeling better about it. This is mental health for me. And this is why I call it a game, because there are strategies around that can help us move forward out of those tough times.
Yeah.
You know, and if we deny that there aren't any tough times, guess what? We're not moving forward anywhere. It's sitting there, and it's going to be pretty painful, and it will just stay. You might be able to bury it and cover it up with stuff that, you know, that you're going to have a good time at a party or something, and you forget about it in that moment. But the next day, you know, it's still going to be there, and it's still going to eat away. It's until we actually come to the point of embracing it and being honest that it's there, that we can release it, and we start to be able to give us a chance of moving on. And that hurts and it's hard, but at least you give yourself the chance to move forward.
Yeah, like you said.
In the meantime, people.
Yeah, hitting those thoughts and emotions head on is maybe suffering at the moment, but it's how to move forward rather than burying and one day uncovering it all.
Totally. Now, should we open this up and see if there's any questions? There's been loads and loads of comments. It's not easy to keep tabs of it all, but has anyone got any specific questions? Now would be a great time if there are any questions around any of this stuff.
There's been loads and loads.
It's hard, isn't it? It's hard because I want to listen to you, but then I want to try and keep track of any questions people got. If anyone has got anything really specific they wanted to ask, then I'd invite you to share it now. Otherwise, anything else that we want to address, Alex? Where are you off to tonight? What are you doing?
Well, I am doing a jiu-jitsu session, and I did about 3 months of jiu-jitsu a couple of years ago and just let it die out. So I'm picking it back up. Because I'd love to learn how to fight better as a skill. I'll be there with my stepdad, who's a great fighter. But also, I've mentioned to you briefly about my small moves in the acting industry, which is currently just a lesson. But I see myself as an actor who can fight. So I want to learn how to fight. So watch this space.
Amazing. I love it. I love the print. There's so much. There's a beautiful energy around jiu-jitsu. It's something I love to do. You know, vulnerability is a big part, and respect is a massive part of jiu-jitsu. Right? You beat the hell out of each other, and then at the end you bow to each other, and there's a hug, and there's an embrace, and there's an absolute respect. I think that's a beautiful way to be.
Yeah.
It's something I'd love to explore. Maybe you can show me how when you've got your black belt.
Yeah. Did you see any questions there at all?
I haven't seen any questions. I've seen lots of comments, lots of positivity. Oh, here we go. I broke my neck in November. What would you recommend that I do for emotional and physical health? I mean, that is a tough one, Alex. You could really sympathise with that when you're not able to exercise, how much it hurts your mental health, and the two are so intrinsically related, right?
Yeah.
I guess I would say for me it's small steps, right? And if you can just do what you can do, give yourself the conversation in your head that at least you know you are doing your best, you know, and sometimes doing your best means you've got to chill the hell out for a few weeks and accept the place you're in and enjoy watching Netflix or doing whatever it is, but just accepting the situation that you find yourself in. Yeah. And then working hard once you've got the opportunity to get back up and running. Yeah. Not running, but up and walking, as the case may be. Yeah. And then slow steps and doing what you can. But, you know, maybe this is going to be a period of time which is going to be challenging. You know, I remember I broke my leg and I spent 10 days in hospital. My leg up was in France and no one spoke a word of English. And for 10 days I had to accept it was a pretty tough time. I was six months on crutches. And it wasn't the best. Yeah. But,
I think, sometimes you have to accept that life isn't always great and this period of time might be a challenging one, like you said. But also, you might accept that you've got to sit and watch TV for a while. And when somebody says, this is your opportunity to really sit down and do nothing. Yes, but that can only last so long. Like if you're an active person, like it was hell for me when I'm ill for a while. And when somebody says, just enjoy sitting and doing nothing, like there's only so long that can happen for. So on a physical level, assuming that the recovery and the rehab for the neck and everything is going as you plan it to, then there is always something that you can do. And more on a hormonal and physiological level, you want that endorphin release from sweating and from exercising. So if there is something that you can do, you don't need your neck hopefully for like a stationary bike, or it's just small things, just finding the things that you can do, because that will give you some positive feeling. Like I was talking about my knee injury, like what workout can I do whilst my knee injury sucks and I feel terrible and negative, but I went in, did a chest day, got a sweat on, and I feel great again because I've done something and I know that I'm doing what I can, like you said.
Brilliant, thank you. I wasn't listening to a lot of what you said, if I'm honest, because I was trying to find some more questions. But
unbelievable.
Why am I here? Because about Chuck B has left some really nice things along the way. I think it sounds like he's really listened. I don't know if someone you're aware of, but he said
that's Charles.
Thank you for the message. Okay, Charles, did you say?
Yeah.
Charles. So Charles said, can you talk about the impulse to tear people down? And that's a really interesting question, because we have this impulse to tear other people down, and I think I'd love to just talk about that briefly, because for me that is just your mind trying to keep you safe. Yeah. You know, we talked about comparison.
It makes you feel so much better, apparently.
Yeah. If we can elevate ourselves above other people, then we're safer than them. You know, it's just naturally, can we lower them so we're higher? It's a natural protective mechanism that our mind will employ, but I think the reality is our soul, you know, as cheesy as it sounds, our soul craves love. You know, so internally, it wants to connect and it wants to lift other people. And all in it is to live. You know, your mind is full of fear and comparison, and you know, it's your ego, all these negative things. It wants to keep you safe. So try and connect more with your soul that wants to elevate people and wants to love everyone and give people kindness and compassion, rather than hate and tear them down. And whether it creates a true karma effect, whether you believe in karma and the universe, whether it comes back around in goodness or not, or whether it's purely just an actual mindset that you've created and a perception. But when you treat people in a good way and with respect, and you elevate their successes and feel genuinely good for them, then you feel better about yourself. And
ultimately those haters that impulsively shut people down and insult and leave those nasty comments, who will be doing it to make themselves feel better, does it actually end up making them feel better, or are they stuck in this this terrible cycle of negativity? So you just got to kind of ignore the comments when you see them, and understand and maybe be compassionate about how that person might be feeling, and be the bigger person.
Absolutely. Everyone's got a story. You don't know what they've been through. You don't know why they are how they are.
Yeah.
You know. I know you've got to go very soon, Alex. A couple of just really quick ones, if we can. This might be a good one for you, Alex. David Leck said, guys, how do you train and not beat yourself up when you train hard and have an off period? I plummet when I cannot train or don't feel up to it. Do you want anything you want to say on that?
Yeah, I guess similar to the last one, however, without an injury, is to realise, like you were saying, is that you just accept that this is a part of the journey, maybe, and feeling down and not fully in the zone is fine, and maybe taking your foot off the gas when you don't want to be going in that direction. Like sometimes I like to mentally see this circle of all aspects of our life, so like career, financial, family, relationship, and you can't be spinning a 10 on all of them at the same time unless you're some superhero. It's just not always like that. So if the fitness is gone down to a 7 or a 6, then maybe it's because your family and social is going up to a 10, and you just need to enjoy some space there, and the motivation and the kicking yourself in the arse in the gym is going to come back soon, and just accept it. Or you might know what motivates you, and that comes the mindset and the meditation to find that grounding again.
I'm not going to elaborate much on that because you're the man on that stuff, Alex. I would just say that an honest relationship with yourself, know what you're capable of, and know also being honest to know that sometimes you need to rest. And listen, I had a week off last week because my hay fever was killing me, and I just, it was a liberating experience to just be able to say, hey, right now, it's not what my body needs. There's other times it's like, right, Ben, get your ass in gear. You need to get back on it. You've had a slack couple of weeks. It's that honest relationship. What are you really craving inside? What really is do you owe yourself here?
Yeah.
You might not even want to say anything on this, but someone said, how big an influence were the books of Brené Brown on you? Sorry, I say someone. It was El Peter. Peter. But yeah, Brené Brown is one of my favourite people in the world. She's amazing. I recommend anyone who's interested in vulnerability to definitely look into Brené Brown. Lastly, Karen across the bridge. You've got to be proud of that face in the glass, right? Yeah, Karen. If anyone wants to just check out everything we just talked about, there's a poem called it's actually called The Man in the Glass, but I changed it to The Face in the Glass because we're not all about men anymore. It's men and women. Yeah. Check out anyone who's interested in this stuff. Check out The Face in the Glass or The Man in the Glass. It's a poem and it's amazing. Alex, anything else you wanna say?
No, we covered a lot. Thank you everyone for coming to watch.
Thank you so much for having the conversation, Alex. You're a star. I hope, I'm sure you are a massive inspiration in just sharing your truth. Life isn't always easy, but generally, we all know you're on a brilliant path, and you're inspiring a lot of people. So, just thank you for everything you do. Thank you for sharing your truth. Thank you for being here now.
Thank you. Thank you, and everyone else. Just keep it real. Be real. Talk your truth. Be vulnerable, or whatever it is. Just be real and share your truth, because then it spreads. It spreads like wildfire, and we create a culture and create a society to what it is. The less bullshit and the less putting up a front, the better, because we're real humans.
Yes, come on. There's your inspiration. Thanks so much, everyone. Sorry we didn't read out all the comments. There was loads, but thank you everyone for the support. And thanks, Alex.
Okay.
Have a great evening, everyone.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Cheers, guys. Enjoy jiu-jitsu, Alex.
Thank you.
See ya.
See ya.
Bye bye.